navigating the crypto world, it really can feel like trying to drink from a fire hose sometimes, right?
Absolutely. Just a constant stream of news, signals, noise.
Yeah. Headlines, market shifts, regulatory whispers. It's a lot. Keeping track feels almost impossible.
It really does.
And that's what we try to do in these deep dives. We take a whole stack of recent info articles, updates you've probably seen floating around, and we dig in.
Try and pull out the important bits.
Exactly. The key insights, the surprising stuff, the things you really need to know.
Yeah.
But without getting totally overwhelmed.
Making sense of the snapshot.
Right. So today, we're looking at a batch of articles mostly from around June 9th, 2025. Places like CoinMarketCap, Coinomedia, CoinLineup, Optimissus, Token Top News, Cryptopolitan News.
And one piece referencing something from June 2nd, I think.
Yeah, that's right, a key filing.
So think of it like this. We're getting a picture of the crypto world at that specific moment. And the goal isn't just, listing headlines. It's about seeing how these separate pieces, maybe seemingly unrelated facts, fit together. What do they tell us about the market mood, the big forces at play?
And who's involved, right? From individual traders all the way up to big institutions.
Exactly. Individuals, corporations, maybe even governments.
Okay. So we're diving into some news on specific coins, moves by the big fish, the reality for everyday traders, platform updates, and these hints from traditional finance and policymakers.
Yeah, and these sources, they offer different angles, different kinds of info, which is good. It reflects the market's complexity.
Definitely. Okay, let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Right, so one headline that kind of grabs you immediately, it's from CoinMarketCap, written by Times Tabloid on June 9th. It says, "Early Bitcoin adopter to XRP holders. Don't sell your XRP for this Elon Musk reason."
Interesting phrasing.
Yeah. Now, we're not here to, fact-check the advice itself.
Right, but that's not the point.
But the title alone makes this, fascinating claim.
Yeah.
You've got someone, supposedly an early Bitcoin person,
Like an OG figure.
telling XRP holders specifically to hold on.
Yeah.
And it's tied somehow to Elon Musk.
Yeah, and the key takeaway here isn't the actual advice, because this particular source doesn't really spell out the Musk reason.
Okay.
It's more about the narrative being created. Just the fact that this headline exists, connecting an early Bitcoin adopter, XRP, and Musk. I mean, it shows how much crypto sentiment can be swayed by big personalities and stories.
Right, almost like a celebrity endorsement effect.
Kind of. It highlights how influence and, narratives can spread across totally different parts of the market, maybe even more than fundamentals sometimes.
That's a really good point. The story is the story. Okay, so moving on to maybe more direct market signals around that same time. Some familiar names popping up, signaling potentially big moves.
Yeah, there are a few things.
Like Coinomedia reported June 9th. Saylor signals Bitcoin buy with tracker T's. Michael Saylor and his Bitcoin tracker again?
Ah, yes. Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy CEO, he's become such a key figure.
Definitely.
And his actions, or even just hints, like referencing his tracker, they get watched very closely because MicroStrategy has bought so much Bitcoin.
So when he teases the tracker,
The market often reads that as, okay, maybe they're gearing up for another big buy. It just shows the kind of impact these huge visible corporate players can have on sentiment, on expectations.
right, moves the needle. And speaking of big moves, TokenTopNews.com also on June 9th reported a crypto whale moves 10,708 ETH from Lido to OKX.
Okay, a whale move. So a whale is just someone holding a massive amount of crypto.
Got it.
And this one moved, what, over 10,700 ETH?
Yeah, valued around $27 million then, from Lido, which is for staking ETH.
Right, liquid staking, to OKX, a major exchange.
So why is that significant?
Well, these whale movements are tracked because shifting that much crypto onto an exchange like OKX, it can signal they're getting ready to sell.
Ah, okay, potential selling pressure.
Potentially. Or maybe preparing for some other big trade. Either way, it gives you a glimpse into where really large pools of capital might be heading.
Sure.
Strategic positioning.
Interesting. So we got the influence of, figureheads and these huge capital flows. But what about the little guy? The individual trader. The sources touched on that too.
Yeah, there was a contrast.
Coinomedia, again, June 9th, had this story. James struggles to profit despite 40x BTC leverage.
Oof. Yeah, that headline tells a story.
It does.
So this piece talks about an individual, James, who apparently lost money using 40x leverage on a Bitcoin long position.
40 times leverage.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you're massively amplifying your position. Great if it goes your way, but absolutely devastating if it goes against you.
And the article says he was struggling even trying to short sell after that.
That's what it reported. So this story about James, it's a very real, kind of sobering look at the risks individuals face, especially with high leverage. It's a stark contrast to the calculated moves of a micro-strategy or a giant whale.
Definitely puts things in perspective. So while individuals like James are navigating pretty choppy waters,
Yeah.
the platforms, the exchanges, they keep building, keep launching new things.
Always innovating, yeah.
Optimism reported on June 9th that MEXC unveils new launchpad featuring BTC to kick off BTC trading month.
Right. So exchanges like MEXC, they're constantly rolling out new features. Launchpads are often used to introduce new tokens or, in this case, maybe special trading events.
I'm focusing on Bitcoin here.
Yeah, using BTC to kick off a BTC trading month is likely a marketing push, right? Trying to attract trading volume, maybe highlight their Bitcoin offerings. It just shows that ongoing competition and development within the exchange space itself.
Makes sense. Okay, so beyond the traders and the platforms, these sources also hint at growing interest from more traditional areas, like government and established finance.
Yes, definitely seeing signals there.
CoinLineup.com, June 9th. U.S. representative introduces bill for strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Right, Representative Burchett. So this report says he proposed a bill, the idea being to create a U.S. strategic reserve, but for Bitcoin.
A strategic Bitcoin reserve, like
Yeah.
your reserve, but Bitcoin.
That seems to be the concept reported. Now, staying neutral on the bill itself.
5, of course.
The key thing is just that this conversation is happening at a legislative level. It suggests, crypto is moving into higher level policy discussions beyond just basic regulation talk.
Interesting. And then on the traditional finance side, Cryptopolitan News reported on June 9th about a filing from back on June 2nd.
Oh, yeah, the Nasdaq one.
Nasdaq files SEC Form 8K to expand crypto ETF benchmark.
Exactly. So Nasdaq filed this form, and 8K is for reporting significant events proposing a change to the benchmark index for a specific crypto ETF, the Hashdex Nasdaq Crypto Index US ETF.
Okay, what does changing the benchmark mean, really?
It means they're refining how that regulated financial product tracks the crypto market. It shows traditional finance isn't just like dipping a toe in with ETFs. They're actively working on the mechanics, the details, the plumbing, integrating crypto more deeply and maturely into the existing financial system.
Wow, okay. That's quite a range of activity in just a few days, around early June 2025.
It really is.
So let's try and tie this together. We've got the XRP Musk narrative, Saylor signaling potential buys, a big ETH whale on the move, James struggling with leverage, MEXC launching a BTC feature, a proposed U.S. Bitcoin reserve bill, and NASDAQ tweaking an ETF benchmark.
Yeah.
What does this whole collection tell you about the market at that point?
Well, I think it paints a really dynamic picture. You see a market that's clearly operating on multiple levels all at once.
Okay.
You've got these powerful narratives, sometimes driven by personalities, influencing specific assets. You've got the very real, tangible impact of huge institutional players like MicroStrategy and these anonymous whales shifting major capital.
Right.
Then there's the sharp end, the risks and realities for individual traders, especially those using leverage. That's a whole different world.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the ecosystem itself is building. Exchanges are innovating with products like launchpads. And critically, you see traditional finance like NASDAQ and even government starting to engage more seriously, adapting their structures and considering new policies.
So it's messy, but in a developing way.
You could say that. It's complex. It's driven by this mix of hype, serious money, individual risk-taking, ongoing innovation, and this gradual integration with the legacy systems, all happening simultaneously.
It really drives home that you can't just watch prices. You need to understand this whole interconnected web of stuff happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so we've taken this deep dive into this particular snapshot of sources from around June 9th, 2025. Pulled out threads from whale moves and trading struggles all the way to potential government reserves and ETF updates.
And seeing them together side by side like this is really where the value is, I think. It shows that complex interplay of forces, retail, institutional, governmental, that you'd miss if you only saw one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, we've touched on the power of big names, the weight of big money, the real risks for individuals, and this constant push for development and integration across the crypto industry.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you to consider as you process all this information. Think about how these different threads we discussed, seemingly separate things like a celebrity name influencing a coin or a government thinking about a reserve or a technical change to an ETF, how might they actually influence each other?
Like a ripple effect.
Exactly. How do these narratives, capital flows, regulations, and innovations combine to shape the overall market weather? And ultimately, how does that shape the opportunities and, importantly, the risks that you might face out there?
That's a great point, keeping all those different layers in mind as you try to make sense of it all.
Definitely something to think about.